So let's talk about basic Starsector tactics. So in warfare, there are two important concepts: concentration and dispersion. Dispersion, you want to have that you don't get hit, for instance, by artillery. You want to disperse your squad or don't get killed by a grenade. And concentration, at the same time, you want to concentrate your forces that you can overwhelm the enemy with firepower, for instance. Now, how does this apply to Starsector? Well, Starsector has a very good AI, which mostly works for fleet combat. So that you have the different ships and they support each other. Like you have the frigates that do basically the screening and keep everyone a bit in check. And then you have the heavy hitters and everything in between. So it's often about breaking up the enemy formation or line or fleet composition, and thus gaining advantage by either breaking a flank in or ganging up several ships, so have concentration against the dispersed enemy. Here's where the player comes in. I originally always played with the biggest ship as the flagship, but lately I usually play a frigate or a destroyer quite often, because particularly there are some very strong frigates like the Afflictor. The Shade is also quite decent, and of course, watch when here, the Hyperion, or the Harbinger, which is a destroyer, because they have a certain amount of speed and capabilities to break up the enemy formation just by positioning. So you position yourself on the flank or even behind the enemy fleet. And particularly if you do this with capital ships that have exposed rear shields like Onslaught, the Pegasus, or the Lion Guard version of it, or also like Dominators, as you can see here. It is on the capital ships, but almost. Then this breaks up the enemy movement, and he often shifts a whole part of the fleet away. So again, they get dispersed, and your AI allies will attack a lesser fleet or at least an exposed side of the enemy. Because if the ships turn, and depending on what type of ship, it also takes quite a while. And this allows to gain a certain advantage rather easily and quickly. Another aspect is you can cripple ships as well, like an Onslaught. You don't need to destroy it, but I have on my Hyperion 2 ion pulsers. I teleport in behind an Onslaught. I unload a few volleys into the engines of the Onslaught, and it's basically crippled for a short while. And then it drifts along. It can't apply usually, because it's already turned in my direction to a certain degree, can't apply its forward firing weapons onto my fleet. So all the deployment points and all the ordnance points, everything is basically wasted because it can't be used at that point. So much about the theory. Let's show how it works out. Now, keep in mind here, my fleet has no officers. My character has quite a lot of skills. But it should work without them mostly as well. Helmsmanship is very important here because maneuverability, top speed is increased. This is usually a skill I always take. So now, and let's see how we do this in practice. Here's my setup, and let's run this. So first off, deploy our whole fleet. We have 107 deployment points. And now let's select the opponent. Instead of the Hyperion, the enemy gets as a flagship the Onslaught. Then we give him 2 Dominators as well, 2 Enforcers as well. Additionally, 2 Hammerheads. And instead of the Vanguard, of the 4 Vanguards, it gets 2 Tempests and 2 Omens, which are probably one of the best frigates you can have. About 50% more deployment points for this fleet. Now, this is not a super heavy fleet, but I'm also not the best player. It's mostly about demonstrating what is possible. I'm also currently not at my peak. So let's drive to the enemy and see where we are, more or less, and what we have up. So here we see, okay, primary targets ideally for this direction are Hammerheads, Dominators, and the onslaught as well. One issue is, of course, we need to get through the screen, ideally unharmed, and not under heavy fire. I got hit here, but the Dominator has a flame out, and I have the attention of an Omen, of another Dominator, and of a Hammerhead, which turns now away again. But I have the full attention of the Onslaught. And now it's also flamed out. And basically all this firepower is drifting in space and is mostly wasted. Oh, that was a nasty hit. And as you can see, even the Hammerheads are now concentrated on me. So our line is pretty strong, whereas you have like all these enemies are mostly focused on me or have to do back and forth. The Omen is quite, yeah. Frigates are causing the most trouble for me right now. And here again the Dominator is distracted. Oh, it's even wasting its burn drive and completely out of position now. Yeah, and the enemy lost already 2 enforcers. Oh, I need to be careful, my shields. Yeah, we need to get that up. So, yeah, the frigates are biggest problem here. Oh, yes. I guess we solved that problem. And he lost the other Tempest as well. Nice. And the Hammerhead is down. Omen is down. Can see. This one is in bad shape, but so far we didn't lose any ships. That was not ideally aimed. I hit the existing armor. So let's take out this Dominator. We're moving, and this is actually quite dangerous for our Dominator, but since now the Onslaught is crippled again, and the Onslaught is gone. Oh, these are both almost dead. Let's see if we can save them. No, lost one. Oh no, I didn't lose that one. I lost the another one. Interesting. I failed you. But well, I didn't fail the other two. Yeah, and this Dominator is almost toast, and now it's complete toast. As you can see, I mean, the Typhoon launchers are pretty hard to disable. Oh, there's another Dominator. Okay, you retreat as well. Oh yeah, but he's almost dead. Yeah. That's what happened. I got a flame out when he with the omen. It's EMP emitter. But yeah, I think we won. As you can see, we lost one Vanguard. We didn't lose any other ships. And forces have. This one has basically perfect armor. There, here the armor is damaged. Armor is also really nice here. Slightly damaged armor. As you can see, yeah. And most of this was through positioning and of course also some decent strikes with the Typhoon launcher and the ion pulses. But you can see that with a very good frigate or even a faster one, can cause a lot of damage. And even if I wouldn't have the Typhoon launcher, just with the ion pulses, if I regularly take out the engines of the heavy ships, they can't really bring their forward-firing firepower. Now, on high-tech ships, this is sometimes to do a little bit harder, but generally you can teleport behind them as well, and often they have either have the Omni shield directed somewhere else, or it's not fully extended if it's a larger shield, like you're on the Apogee. And then you also can cripple them. And it's a bit harder generally to do, but if you cripple them, it's usually way worse because the ion pulses do a decent amount of damage and destroy the ship quite easily, the armor, and then they can blow up. If you just argue, oh, this only works with low-tech ships and midline ships, I mean, which is basically 2/3 of the ships, that's not true. You can also do this on high-tech ships. It depends. It's sometimes harder and sometimes easier. If your fleet is closer, if you stay closer with the fleet, it's usually easier because then the enemy has to decide, does it expose the open shield to your allies or to you? Here's the setup of my Hyperion if you're interested. So I set the ion pulses to auto fire so that I only have to steer the ship basically, and I manually fire the Typhoon launcher. Since it's a delicate machinery, I usually have hardened subsystems in there, and I have S modded here. Then unstable injectors, because you always want more speed, ideally. Extended shields that have full coverage, because I'm quite often behind enemy lines. Usually there are a lot of more missiles are flying in. Expanded magazines that have more shots for my bursts. And of course hardened shields, because to have even better flux efficiency for the shields. Because you, as you saw, you take quite some hits if you're flying through the enemy formation or along it. And you want to keep your flux down as much as possible. Because if you have an overload with this, more often than not, you explode. I mean, it's a frigate. It's a high-tech frigate. So anyway, thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.